artist or Rose? I don't know. Sorry. Uh-huh. Did it heal good? Do you like the way it healed? Does it look good? I'm excited to see it. Okay, great. Just cover yourself in music stuff. That'd be so cool. All the stuff you love. Cats and dogs, plants, desert plants, regular plants, succulents. You should get a tattoo of the doggy matching. Or a little bus. That'd be cute. I got you. Mm-hmm.
All I want for Christmas is to hold you out there on the dance floor, just like we used to do. I don't need no diamond ring or a fancy pair of shoes. All I want for Christmas is to hold you. The newsman is calling for lots of snow. If you're often in a hurry, take it slow. Light the candles, stoke the fire. It's just you and me. It's a good night to stare at the tree. All I want for Christmas is to hold you out there on the dance floor, just like we used to do. I don't need no diamond ring or a fancy pair of shoes. All I want for Christmas is to hold you. Found some letters in the basement from years long ago. Ain't it funny, the words that they spoke? How I miss you, happy Christmas, this war's almost won. Don't you wish for the fighting to be done? All I want for Christmas is to hold you out there on the dance floor, just like we used to do. I don't need no diamond ring or a fancy pair of shoes. All I want for Christmas is to hold you. All I want for Christmas is to hold you.
Good morning. Welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. We are so happy that you've chosen this space, this Sabbath, this sanctuary and time. We know that you have so many options on Sunday morning, and that you chose to be here is something that we celebrate. We extend an especially warm welcome to our visitors, and we now invite everyone to turn and greet each other, chicken wings or elbows. Thank you. It is good to be together. And now Reverend Rose has a few more announcements.
Good morning. I am so pleased to announce that my colleague, Reverend Kendyl Gibbons, is here to lead worship with us this morning. It is so special to have you here, Kendyl. We're so thankful for all the good ministry you do at All Souls. Our accompanist this morning is Charles Dickinson himself, who is the manager of Simpson House at All Souls, and also sometimes plays the piano at All Souls. So thank you, All Souls, for your support of worship this morning. And now a few announcements about Christmas, and then a little bit about the coming year. So we will have 2 services on Christmas Eve. The first service will be at 5 p.m., and in the vein of special guests, we have someone who is very special who will be joining us for the kids' service. Do you all remember in the book The Grinch, the little girl Cindy Lou Who saves Whoville? Well, Cindy Lou Who grew up, and she is going to be here. And she is here, actually. Cindy Lou Who, if you would stand and wave your hand. Cindy actually helps manage the shelter, which makes it even more special that Cindy Lou Who herself is managing the shelter. So that should be really fun for the kids. Secondly, we invite you to our candlelit service at 7 p.m. We will also have special music that night, the cello. And then lastly, a few announcements about the coming year and vaccines. We will be requiring proof of booster January 15th. So everybody locate your cards again. And then in order to prepare for the RE community's fuller return, as we will start mandating vaccines for the kids February 1st, we invite you to an RE homecoming if you are a parent of children on January 9th. This will be a time for parents of the program to reconnect to each other and to the church, to do some dreaming about what it is our children need right now spiritually, and to do a little bit of processing about what it has been like to get through this last year. Then on February 6th, we will return to our whole church services the first Sunday of every month, and that will be the only Sunday that kids are in the sanctuary at all. But that Sunday, all eligible children will be with us, returning to our multi-generational whole church, the fullness of our intergenerationality. Woohoo! And if you guys know me, kids in the worship is just about my favorite thing, so.
Good morning. Welcome here, and thank you so much for the invitation to share worship with this community this morning. Thanks to Rose for her message to all souls, which they are hearing virtually today. Here in the midst of this holiday season, as the solstice brings the longest night and the turning of the year, now are the briefest days. The earth deepens into the stillness of winter. Night falls early. Dawn comes late. The energy of nature slows, turns inward. The sap holds still in the trees. Creatures tucked into burrows and hollows sleep away the frozen months. But the human spirit rebels against this quiescence. Always people have watched the skies to measure the turning of the year, to tell the pattern of the stars and the sun's return. Everywhere people have made feast and festival in this pivotal moment, have brought fire and candlelight, gifts and songs, revelry and rejoicing. With stories of magic and power, we remind ourselves of the world's possibilities and our own great dreams, of the courage, compassion, and wisdom that is within us, even in the most difficult times. At the death of the year, we celebrate life and rebirth and the vision of peace on earth and goodwill among all people. Come then, for this hour of reflection and refreshment, let go the frantic demands of the season, and together let us go deeper than the hurry and the hype, lifting up all that unites us with one another and with human communities across the ages and around the globe as we confront the darkness and celebrate the renewal of light. Let us kindle a chalice flame as our earliest ancestors lit their watchfires, so that by its light we might gather, remember, and be saved from the cold and dark. May its brightness give cheer to our own hearts, courage to our shared faith, and hope to a weary world. Let's join together in song.
As Tiffany Johnson comes forward to light our chalice, we invite you to join in reading our covenant, which is behind me on the wall. Love is the doctrine of this church. Quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another. Each month, we as a community take time to reflect on a theme. The children do this in their classes, and we do it here in worship and in our small groups. This month, the theme is opening to joy. And to be honest, it's been very, very tough for me to connect with this subject in a way that would allow me to comfortably stand up here and dissect it for us, illuminate it, to share with all of you in a meaningful way. And in our small groups readings material, the emphasis really is about sharing joy, not hoarding it for a rainy, gloomy, pandemic-y kind of day. So I thought that's what I'll do today. I'll just share joy with you. And how to do that? I mean, what is joy anyway? To me, it simply seems to be this ephemeral byproduct of experiencing life through all its ups and downs. But I don't think just one person, especially me, can easily define it for everyone here. So with the help of a wonderful website called spiritbutton.com, where you can find any quote on any subject, spiritbutton.com, thank you. I'm going to share others' perspectives of joy with all of you, and hopefully be able to share with you one thing that really does bring me joy along the way. Because as Mark Twain once said, to get the full value of joy, you must have someone to divide it with. Meaning joy is one of those treasures that paradoxically multiply whenever they are divided. When we share our joy, we don't lose it, but actually witness it grow stronger and bigger. That happens because, just like love, joy means connection and shared happiness. And when I think of that quote, and joy dividing, it makes me think of math. And when I think of math, I always think of that old standby. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7 ate 9. We know that. But why did 7 eat 9? Because everyone should enjoy 3 squared meals a day. And speaking of eating, I'm reminded of Mahatma Gandhi, who stated, "Joy lies in the fight, in the attempt, in the suffering involved, not in the victory itself." It's thought that he meant joy is often connected to success, but not as it should be. Joy doesn't just belong to the winners, but to all those who try and fight, who put all their hearts into a project or a goal just for the sake of bettering themselves and offering something to the world. That being said, what do we know about Gandhi? Well, he walked barefoot. He was a vegetarian. He ate very little and practiced yoga, and was a minimalist who didn't likely brush his teeth either, which would have left him suffering, unfortunately, from bad breath. So he was a super calloused, fragile mystic hexed by halitosis. Thank you. And when it comes to mystics who make me misty, one has to recall Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet, Islamic scholar, theologian, and Sufi mystic, who wrote, "When you do things from the soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy." To expound upon that, one of the richest sources of joy is getting totally immersed in an activity and putting all your soul and talent into it. The joy of creating or accomplishing something can give us an incredible boost of power. And whenever I think of a river of joy, I think of happy salmon, which reminds me, what did the fish say when it hit the wall? Damn. I know, we both graduated from the school of fish jokes. Guilty. And let's listen to Buffy St. Marie. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's the first Indigenous person to win an Oscar for her song, Up Where We Belong, who informed us that you have to sniff out joy, actively sniff it out. You have to keep your nose to the joy trail, she says. Because joy comes into our life as this exotic perfume of another world. We are attracted by it and we want it. We need to train ourselves, though, to recognize it and make it persist. It will intoxicate us with happiness, and it will attract wonderful people in our lives. What a beautiful thought. It reminds me of my dog, actually, magically sniffing out joy everywhere she goes. So if she's a magical dog, I guess that would make her a labracadabrador. Bow wow. I know I can get joy personally from sniffing out flowers, which brings me to my favorite and last quote from Oscar Wilde. A flower blossoms for its own joy. There are many lessons to learn from nature. For example, to seek the joy of achievements or growth, not for impressing others, but for our own sake. Flowers don't care if they are admired. The joy of their beauty is the natural fulfillment of their destiny. But most importantly, you can't plant any flowers if you haven't bought any. So, hopefully I was able to share my joy of quotes with you. Feel free to share that joy with others as you go about your day. Don't forget to tip your collection plates. Thank you and good night. Give a hand to the band.
Stranger, I've seen you before. Knew your face when you walked through the door. So sit down, let me buy you a drink. We've got differences, it's easy to see. Doesn't mean that we can't get along in this place. Doesn't mean that we can't sit and share in this space. Oh, I'm dreaming. I'm just dreaming of a place with no pain, no sorrow or shame, where troubles are few and our pleasures are vain. Oh, I'm dreaming. I'm just dreaming. Teach me of a place you come from. I will listen with ears so strong. And tell me of the message that you send. Can we go from strangers to friends? Does it mean that we can get along in this place? Does it mean that we can and sharing this space. Oh, I'm dreaming. I'm just dreaming of a place with no pain, no sorrow or shame, where troubles are few and our pleasures are great. Oh, I'm dreaming. I'm just dreaming. Oh, I'm dreaming. I'm just dreaming. I'm just dreaming. I'm just dreaming.
This is the time in our order of service where we draw to heart and mind those in our midst who are suffering and those who feel the sweet relief of their burdens easing. I'll invite you to put your feet flat on the floor, your hands in your lap, close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Taking a second to become aware of your embodied presence here in worship, knowing that this is a moment that has never been, that we will never come back to. We'll just start by doing a quick breathing exercise. I'll invite you to imagine that your belly is like a balloon filling with water when you breathe in. Then as you breathe out, you can imagine a spout coming right out of your heart space. We'll just each take 5 deep breaths, knowing that each time we breathe, we bring peace, we bring relaxation, we bring connectivity. Today we grieve the death of Bell Hooks, author, theologian, and thinker, who wrote that love is an action, never simply a feeling. She wrote prolifically against supremacy culture, writing in a style that I can best describe as earthen, poetic dreamscapes. And thus, in our loving actions, we give our love to those untangling themselves from relationships that no longer serve them. We grieve for the loss of energy and time that chronic illness takes on the body and mind, and our hearts go out to all who are struggling to make ends meet, especially at this time of year. We extend our gratitude to people who make caring for children their primary spiritual practice. And we join in wonder with all people who are bravely facing their final days. I'll invite you to draw into your own heart and mind someone who you know is suffering, imagining their face before you. This might be someone who you know very closely. This might be someone who you've seen once or have heard about. Imagining their smile, imagining their joy. We'll do 2 rounds of loving kindness meditation here. I invite you to repeat after me. May you be free from suffering. May you be free from harm. May you be free. And then turning your attention inward to your own heart, I invite you to put 1 or 2 hands over your heart, giving yourself that warm embrace, appreciating yourself for all that you've done, all you've been through, letting the corners of your lips turn up. Repeat after me. May I be free from suffering. May I be free from harm. May I be free. You may open your eyes. As always, we rejoice over the exquisite beauty in this world, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty might be. You are now invited to come forward and briefly share with the world 2 to 3 sentences of a rare joy or a profound sorrow and light a candle.
I'm Jennifer Nelson. I'm lighting this candle of hope for my friend Gina. She has been fighting cancer for the last year, and it's not going well, but it's a candle of hope for peace for her and her family.
I'm Bernie Norcott Mahaney, and I'd like to light a candle of remembrance for Bill Casey, who was very briefly the music director at All Souls some years ago. He touched a lot of lives, and he is well remembered by any of those people who met him.
My name is Curtis Brazil, and I'm lighting a candle of joy. My oldest son, Jesse, graduated from college, Washington State University, summa cum laude, this last weekend, and is now being courted by Cornell, Brown, John Hopkins, and a few others, which I took my youngest kids to go, and now my daughter is attending college as a junior next semester, and my middle son, who has been just working after graduation, now applied for Johnson County Community College also. So yay for education.
Hi, we're Annie and Steve Rowe, and Annie and Steve Rowe, and we're celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary this year.
I would like to,
I'm going to hold it so you can.
okay. I would light 2 candles. One for my husband. He died a year ago next week, and I missed him so much. Even he sang off key. And the other one is a joy. So much. I've moved in Lakeview, a great community, and I had so much joy there. And a community here is my year was full of joy. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki.
Hi, I'm Charlie. This is Noor. We are lighting a candle in remembrance of our friend Mickey, who unfortunately passed far too soon this week. Mickey was a wonderful person and touched a lot of lives, and we all miss them very much.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Sagan. This is a candle of sorrow for my brother. His longtime girlfriend recently passed away, and they had a memorial in Council Grove, and my other brother, one of my other brothers and my sister and I went out there and for the memorial, and I really worry about him. He had a stroke a few years ago. He lost his job in September, and he's 65, so he just went ahead and retired. But he's out there by himself with a chihuahua. And so it seems that her family has really taken him in, so my hope is that, they are, her sister lives a block from him, and it sounds like, they really all love him as well. And so, I'm just hoping that they keep an eye on him and take care of him, and that he continues to do well.
I light 2 remaining candles for all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts.
These words of meditation are from the columnist Nancy Rockwell. Advent. And the same old lies about Mary are slipping over pulpits and out of parish letters, Christmas cards, public prayers, TV holiday movies, and late-night comics jokes. The subjugation of Mary, the maligning of her as meek, mild, and mindless has been harmful to millions, men and women both. Hiding within the wonder of Christmas are 1,000 years of doctrinal female subjugation, doctrines that like tinsel are dripped all over the season of Christmas. In the midst of this celebration of wonderful life, these malicious ideas keep women from feeling empowered, invited to be strong, and urged by God to imagine new ways to live, as Mary of Nazareth did, who mothered God's redemption into the human world. Luke's is the only gospel in which Mary's story appears, and in his account, there is nothing submissive or immature about her. Luke does not assign her a specific age. Mary is unmarried when the angel comes, The angel's invitation and her independent decision tell us Mary does not need permission of clergy or her parents to become pregnant. God knows Mary owns her own body, and there is no shame in her decision. Mary is good news for unwed mothers everywhere. Mary, wanted by God, according to the angel, for her bold, independent, adventuresome spirit, decides to bear a holy child, for a bold agenda to bring down the mighty from their thrones, to scatter the proud in the imagination of their hearts, to fill the hungry with good things, and send the rich empty away. She is determined, not domestic, free, not fragile, holy, not helpless, strong, not submissive. She beckons women everywhere to speak out for God's justice, which is waiting to be born into this world. Once again, let's join in song.
Our reading today comes from the Gospel according to Luke. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, the angel Gabriel was sent to a town in Galilee called Nazareth to a young woman betrothed to a man named Joseph of the house of David, and this maiden's name was Mary. He went in and said to her, "Rejoice, most highly favored." She was deeply disturbed by these words and asked herself what the greeting could mean. But the angel said to her, "Mary, do not be afraid. You have won God's favor. Listen, you are to conceive and bear a son, and you must name him Jesus. He will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord will give him the throne of the ancestor of David. He will rule over the house of Jacob forever, and his reign will have no end." Mary said to the angel, "But how can this come about, since I am a virgin?" "The Holy Spirit will come upon you," the angel answered, "and the power of the Most High will cover you with its shadow. And so the child will be holy and will be called the Son. Know this too, your kinswoman Elizabeth has, in her old age, conceived a son, and she whom people call barren is now in her 6th month, for nothing is impossible." "I am the handmaid of the Lord," said Mary. "Let what you have said be done to me." And the angel left her. Mary then set out immediately and went as quickly as she could to a town in the hill country of Judea. She went into Zechariah's house and greeted Elizabeth. Now, as soon as Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leapt in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with spirit. She gave a loud cry and said, "Of all women, you are the most blessed, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. Why should I be honored with a visit from the mother of my Lord? For the moment your greeting reached my ears, the child in my womb, Elizabeth's womb, leapt for joy. Yes, blessed is she who believed that the promise made by her by the Lord would be fulfilled." And then this is what Mary said. Mary said, "My soul proclaims the greatness, and my spirit exults in the divine, because God looked upon this lowly handmaid. Yes, from this day forward, all generations will call me blessed, for the Almighty has done great things for me. Holy is their name, and their mercy reaches from age to age for those who fear. God has shown the great power, has routed the proud of heart, has pulled down princes from their thrones and exalted the lowly. The hungry have been filled with good things, and the rich sent away empty. God has come to help Israel, mindful of his mercy, according to the promise that was made to our ancestors, of the mercy to Abraham and his descendants forever." Mary stayed with Elizabeth about 3 months, and then she went back home.
So it is necessary to begin with 2 caveats. First, this is a story we are talking about. There is no independent historical evidence whatsoever about the existence of Mary, the mother of Jesus, unless you count the implied necessity that he must have had a mother of some sort. Although, since in this instance the material existence of a father appears to be dispensable, there's no guarantee even of that. In any case, it is all folklore, imaginative retellings of oral traditions crafted to suit the needs of particular eras and cultures. There is no historical Mary. It's a void, a supposition, a blank canvas for our fears and longings and fantasies. Journalistic accuracy cannot help us here in the realm of myth. The second premise is that stories matter. Take, for instance, Cinderella. I know of no one who argues the literal historical truth of this fairy tale. And yet the events that it recounts have shaped generations of Western culture and the self-understanding of millions of women and girls. What is the purpose of our lives? What constitutes success, good fortune, virtue? What should we aspire to? What should we shun? What about us is visible or meaningful to the rest of the world? How do we wield power? What kind of agency do we have? How does our voice get heard? We could debate the various constraints that may or may not be implicit in the story, but the point is that we do not have to entertain it as historically true in order to recognize its impact on our cultural concepts of being female. The story itself has an effect on us, even if we do not believe it as data. So it is, too, with the story about Mary, as related in the 2 versions of the nativity of Jesus recounted in the Gospels of Matthew and of Luke. The other 2 of the 4 canonical Gospels included in the Christian New Testament, Mark and John, tell about Jesus' ministry and death without offering any narrative about the circumstances of his birth. The two versions of that nativity that we are given differ significantly, even though our culture's traditional Christmas Eve manger scene conflates the two and weaves them implausibly together. Matthew, written sometime after 70 of the Common Era, is concerned primarily with showing Jesus as the fulfillment of as many random items of Hebrew scripture prophecy as possible. Matthew concerns himself with Joseph's interior thought process, not Mary's. In this version, Joseph, finding himself betrothed to a woman who is pregnant before they have come together, debates how to end the relationship with the least scandal, and is encouraged by angelic messenger to follow through with the proposed marriage despite the prospect of a child that cannot be his. There is no journey to Bethlehem. The story proceeds as though this is where Joseph and Mary already live. When the wise men from the east arrive, they go into the house where the child Jesus and his mother are. No inns or stables or caves. In Matthew, the journey comes at the end of the story, when Joseph, Mary, and the baby flee to Egypt to avoid Herod's genocidal murder of infants. Once Herod is dead, they return, and it is then that they relocate to Nazareth, where Jesus then grows up. It is only Luke's gospel, composed perhaps a few years later, that offers us access to some of Mary's stream of consciousness. And thus, it is on Luke's narrative that I want to focus primarily this morning. It is in Luke that the famous exchange takes place between Mary and the angel Gabriel, in which he greets her as fortunate and announces that she will become pregnant and bear a son who will inherit the throne of David and reign over the house of Jacob forever. Mary, we are told, like many before her, is not especially enthusiastic about this encounter, and the angel first has to assure her not to be afraid. When informed about her impending motherhood, she protests that she does not know man or has no husband, that she is a virgin and understands how children are normally conceived. The angel responds that the Holy Spirit will come upon you and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. He goes on to explain that Mary's cousin, Elizabeth, who had been considered beyond the age of childbearing and barren, was now 6 months pregnant with John the Baptist, as proof that with God nothing shall be impossible. At which point Mary's response is traditionally recorded as, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord, let it be unto me according to your word." This encounter has been immortalized in countless paintings and retellings over the centuries of Christendom, usually interpreted as illustrating Mary's pious submission to the will of God as the ideal of feminine virtue. And that, my friends, is a problem for modern sensibilities. As Nancy Rockwell says in her recent blog post, the subjugation of Mary, the maligning of her as meek, mild, and mindless, has been harmful to millions of women and men both. Hiding within the wonder of Christmas are 1,000 years of doctrinal female subjugation, doctrines that, like tinsel, are dripped all over the season of Christmas. Where, it occurs to us to ask in this decade of #MeToo, is the consent? I want to propose that it is there if we read the story more fully and brush away that layer of doctrinal tinsel, that Mary is something different and more than the mother mild that Western patriarchal culture has made of her. Now, I am not one of that generation of Christian feminists who were eager to redeem the Bible from accusations of sexism, Both the Jewish and Christian scriptures, as I understand them, are absolutely describing and encoding a patriarchal culture and often express a theology of male domination. And yet, contained within the stories themselves are also examples and hints of resistance, stowing away inside the texts as they travel through the centuries, waiting to be recognized by those who seek a new understanding of holy creativity working in history toward a more just world. I think it is possible that Mary is one of those hidden messages. Mary is often portrayed and thought of in Western culture as a very young woman of barely marriageable age, which makes her capacity for consent to God's project questionable, even if she offers that consent. The same popular imagination makes Joseph significantly older, even though nothing in the gospel stories suggests this disparity. These images do have a specific source, though. They arise from the Proto-Evangelium of James, a non-canonical work written between the mid-2nd and 3rd centuries, which purports to offer details of Mary's biography, and is the first writing to propose her lifelong virginity, even after her marriage and the birth of Jesus. This apocryphal gospel was regularly condemned by church authorities, yet it remained quite popular, as attested by the many manuscript copies surviving from the 5th through the 10th centuries. It is written in Greek and displays assumptions about Jewish religious culture at the time of Jesus that are clearly historically inaccurate. Most significantly, that the Jerusalem temple would have had consecrated female virgin attendants, similar to those in Greek and other pagan cultures. In reality, women had no formal role in Jewish temple worship, and while male children could be raised as wards of the priesthood, there was no similar arrangement for girls. There is no possibility that Mary was married off from the Jerusalem temple at an early age or any other age. While there were a few male members of the Jewish Essene cult who refused marriage on the grounds that it would distract them from attention to keeping the laws and commandments, and that they expected the end of the world soon anyway, virginity itself was not considered a virtue in Jewish culture as a whole, particularly for women. A vow of perpetual virginity as a dedication to God, such as James asserts that the young Mary had made, would have been considered both perverse and sacrilegious in Second Temple Judaism. The entirety of James' alleged biography is a just so story appealing to the patriarchalization of early European Christianity. It is also helpful to understand that just as the early church took pagan holidays and overlaid them with Christian significance, like turning Saturnalia into Christmas, they also subsumed the female goddesses of indigenous European heathen traditions into the image of Mary and various other female saints in order to subordinate them to the masculine trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Much effort went into making Mary fragile, pious, immature, humble, mild, obedient, quiet, anything but powerful. The more silenced she is, the more she is offered as the ideal feminine, virginal, meek, and compliant, indicating to generations of women that following this example is the only way for them to be loved or saved or good. That image was created and emphasized to serve a culture that centered male experience and a masculine concept of the divine. I think it's time to explore an alternative vision, And what better season than Christmas? First of all, who says that Mary was a barely pubescent tween? Only James, and we know what his agenda was. What happens if we think of Mary not as immature, confused, and frightened, but as fully adult, competent to make her own decisions and give or withhold her own consent? What if she does understand what God is asking of her and decides to be God's accomplice? Try this. Imagine that the angel is female, soliciting Mary's help to move the world forward by getting the Messiah born. Imagine a conversation like this.
Hi, Mary. It's me, the angel. Mary, you are awesome. Did you know that God is one of your Instagram followers?
Yeah, and you are?
Don't worry about it. It's all good. Just so you know, God thinks that you're awesome. And now look, you're going to get pregnant and have a son, and we would like for you to name him Jesus. There are plans for your kid to finish what King David started, to straighten out our national situation for good, and I mean permanently this time.
Right. I don't think so. First of all, because my love life is like non-existent.
Not to worry, God is sending the Holy Spirit to take care of the details. Everyone will say this kid is really special. Like his dad must be royalty or heavenly or something. If you don't believe me, call your cousin Elizabeth. Everybody thought she was never going to have kids, but she's already 6 months along. I'm telling you, God can do whatever.
Huh. Well, okay then, I'm in. Bring it on. It's liberating to have a little fun with the text. But what if we imagine Mary replying, "Behold, I am willing to be a co-conspirator with God. Let it be to me according to your word." In point of fact, a few lines later in Luke's account, Mary has the longest speech of any woman in all the Bible, a prayer that has become known as the Magnificat because of the first word in the Latin version. But in between her conversation with the angel and this prayer proclaiming God's justice, she sets out alone on a journey to visit her cousin Elizabeth. This suggests to me that she is a woman of independence and substance. She does not need permission from clergy or parents or prospective husband, either to decide where to go and spend the next 3 months or to decide to bear a child to help further the divine agenda. What she seeks out is the support of another expectant first-time mother, and it is in her house that Mary articulates her own understanding of what all this means. Now, just as we cannot understand the ministry of Jesus without recognizing the oppression of Israel under Roman control, so we need to remember that Mary is also one of those marginalized people whose political freedom has been wholly suppressed, whose religious traditions are under constant threat, and whose culture is being subsumed by the hegemony of Rome. And even her own religious authorities would suggest that her status as a woman means that there is nothing she can do to help the situation. But she believes otherwise. The one thing only a woman can do is to mother the one who is called by God to bring the revolution that might change the world. And this she becomes fiercely determined to accomplish. When she arrives at Elizabeth's home, whose husband is a high-level priest in the temple administration, Mary makes an announcement about her pregnancy. She is neither repentant nor ashamed. Instead, she sees herself as part of a long line of faithful Jewish people selected to fulfill God's plan for justice and mercy over the generations. You heard the traditional translation of the Magnificat a few minutes ago. Let me give you an alternative reading that I believe is well within the parameters of legitimate translation, and see what a difference you hear. God is magnificent to me. My spirit exults in the Holy One who makes me whole, who is well aware how despised and humiliated our people are. And yet from now on, all generations will call me the lucky one, because the Almighty is doing a marvelous thing in me. God's name should be held in reverence for having mercy generation after generation to all those who honor it. This is just the kind of thing the powerful arm of God constantly does, confuses and scatters the lying hearts of the proud, brings down the authorities from their seats of power and lifts up the humble, fills the hungry with all good things, and sends the rich away empty. Our whole nation has been accepted as a growing child, begotten and born of God, who always remembers to have mercy. This is exactly what was promised to our ancestors, to our father Abraham and his descendants forever. These are not the words of a timid teenager who is just dutifully doing what she is told. In fact, they are so bold, these words of liberation and hope, that at least 3 different governments have tried to silence them. The Magnificat was banned from being sung or read in India under British rule. In the 1980s, it was banned in Guatemala. In addition, after the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, whose children all disappeared during the dirty war of 1976 to 83, placed its words on posters throughout the Capitol Plaza, the military junta in Argentina outlawed any public display of Mary's song. Oppressed people recognize the words of their own. Words of resistance that they and we may not even be able to formulate for ourselves. Words of defiance hidden in plain sight in the mouth of a woman whose blue cloak and halo have disguised her sacred self-possession from orthodoxy and patriarchy for centuries. Today, when once again we need them, there they are, summoning us to pride and solidarity, inviting women in the full flower of all potential motherhood to become co-conspirators with the creativity of God, announcing the divine project for turning the tables for justice, equality, and compassion. This is the holy purpose of our lives. This is an example of what constitutes success, good fortune, and virtue. This is what we should aspire to, this strength and righteous intention, not waiting for society's permission, nor bending to the imperiousness of men in authority. This is what makes us visible and meaningful in the world, whatever marginalized group we identify with. Here is a story of a woman wielding an essential power and making a choice that is only meaningful if she could, with equal integrity, have chosen otherwise, and making her voice heard. Another non-canonical scripture, the Gospel of Thomas, reports this teaching from Jesus. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This seems true to me, and I can only imagine that he was partly thinking of his mother, if indeed he said that. Each of us has the opportunity to choose being a co-conspirator with the holy creativity of life in the interconnected web. In this holiday that is all about birthing new possibilities into a desperately needy world, let us remember the story of the woman who proclaimed her unwed pregnancy as God's righteous power coming to fulfill the promise of generations through her cooperation to bring about justice for the oppressed. A woman whose boldness of intention and clarity of purpose found favor with God, who carried and birthed and raised a child who changed the world. Like the goddesses who came before her, Mary's story ends as the Queen of Heaven, still proclaiming the demand for a world of justice and compassion. Take courage from her example, beloved. Bring forth the blessed truth that is within you and save us all. Let's join together one more time in song. No, not yet? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Thank you. It's gone. There it is. Seek and ye shall find. All right. The work of the church depends on us, our generosity of time, wisdom, and financial resources. We invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
Monday morning back to the grind. Gotta get to work and gotta be on time. Make a pot of coffee and I sip it real slow. Grab my purse and then I hit the road. Just like that, hear those train whistles blow. Better hurry up, the traffic's moving too slow. Thankful for another day that I can make my own pay. 'Cause I'm a working woman and I pay my own bills. And I buy my own heels because I like to. You'll never see me relying on a man. I'm gonna do it on my own 'cause I can. Thanks, Mom, for teaching me to be a working woman. Some men are out there looking for a maid and a stay-home mom, but you ain't gonna find that here because I like to work my job. And I like my collection of boots and going out whenever I want. I'll never have me a man who tells me that I can't. 'Cause I'm a working woman and I pay my own bills. And I buy my own heels because I like to. You'll never see me relying on a man. I'm gonna do it on my own 'cause I can. Thanks, Mom, for teaching me to be a working woman.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us in our hearts until we are together again. Now our closing hymn.
Please rise as you are willing and able and sing loudly as Kendyl herself wrote this hymn.
Our words of benediction are from the poet Edward Erickson. If, as Herod, we fill our lives with things and again with things, if we consider ourselves so important that we must fill every moment of our lives with action, when will we have the time to make the long, slow journey over the burning desert, as did the Magi, or sit and watch the stars, as did the shepherds, or brood over the coming of a child, as did Mary? For each one of us, there is a desert to travel, a star to discover, and a being within ourselves to bring to life. May we have the courage to bring forth the peace, the justice, and the new life that might save us all. Merry Christmas.
I don't know. Was here. Okay. I had it right here. Let's do whatever you want, girl. Go for it.
Sometimes I feel so jaded. Sometimes I feel so weak. I keep going, keep trying, keep running, but somehow I keep falling to my knees. And I know I can't do this on my own. Yes, I know that way is dark and cold. I need a friend, not just in low places. I need a friend in the highest of places. Someone to pick me up when I fall down, catch me before I hit the ground. Believe in my dreams and lets me be me. Lets me be me, who I wanna be. It's not a competition. It is more about ambition and the way that you take on your place and your position. It's not a race to the finish line. Don't even have to be there on time. I need a friend, not just in low places. I need a friend in the highest of places. Someone to pick me up when I fall down, catch me before I hit the ground. Believe in my dreams and lets me be me. Lets me be me, who I wanna be. I've been swimming through murky waters and I'm dying to get clean. And my skin is growing softer and I'm changing my routine. And I know that you're up there, you're looking down on me. And I hope that you are proud of the girl turning out to be. I need a friend, not just in low places. I need a friend in the highest of places. Someone to pick me up when I fall down, catch me before